Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
Mediocrity is not a state. It is a disease. It creeps into the mind with whispers of safety, comforting lies about satisfaction and ease. It is a thief in the night, stealing ambition, numbing the spirit and binding the soul in chains of complacency. To live in mediocrity is not to live at all. It is to exist in the shadow of what could have been. Fear it, for it seeks to claim you as its next victim. Greatness does not stumble upon the unwilling. It demands vigilance, the sharpness of a blade, forged in the fires of self-awareness. Those who succumb to mediocrity do not simply fail, they surrender. They choose the comfort of stagnation over the discomfort of growth. That choice is the epitaph of their potential, carved deep into the foundation of a wasted life. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a tool, a weapon to be wielded against the pull of mediocrity. It awakens the mind, stirs the heart, and forces the body into motion. The fear of mediocrity is the most powerful motivator, for it demands action. It forces the question, how far are you willing to go to escape the ordinary? Let that fear consume you, drive you, become the fuel that ignites your ambition. Mediocrity has no teeth, no claws. It relies on your inaction to do its work. It thrives on procrastination, on hesitation, on the endless cycle of tomorrow. To conquer mediocrity, you must act with ruthless intent, obliterating every excuse, every distraction, every lingering shadow of doubt. Fear mediocrity enough to move enough to rise. Ambition does not reside in safety. It is born in the dangerous spaces between failure and success, the wild edges where risk and reward collide. Mediocrity lives far from these spaces, in the mundane valleys of predictability and comfort. To fear mediocrity is to embrace the danger that comes with striving for more. Danger is where greatness lies. Humor mediocrity and it will consume you. It is not a friend or an ally, but a parasite, draining your energy and ambition. To fear mediocrity is to understand its nature. To defeat it is to deny it space within your mind. Replace it with ambition so fierce it burns through every wall it encounters. The world rewards risk-takers, the ones who fear mediocrity more than they fear failure. Every great achievement, every monumental act of creation comes from the refusal to settle. Those who are inspired by the fear of mediocrity do not hesitate. They rise, they climb, they conquer, driven by the need to be extraordinary in a world content with average. Fear mediocrity, not failure. Failure teaches. Mediocrity silences. Failure sharpens the blade of ambition. Mediocrity dulls it. Embrace the fear of mediocrity and you will find yourself pushing beyond every limit, scaling every barrier, reaching heights you once thought impossible. Fear it enough and it becomes your ally. The truly ambitious are haunted by mediocrity. They feel its breath at their backs, its shadow at their heels. That fear drives them forward, faster, harder, further than they believed possible. Fear becomes their compass, guiding them toward the greatness that mediocrity seeks to steal. Fear mediocrity enough and it will never catch you. Mediocrity is blind. It looks only at itself and calls it the pinnacle. It whispers to those it consumes, convincing them that the plateau is a summit, that the ordinary is extraordinary. But talent sees further beyond the dull horizons of mediocrity. Talent recognizes genius, even in its rawest form, and yearns to meet it, challenge it, surpass it. To be talented is not merely a gift. It is an obligation, a conscious rebellion against the mundane. to possess talent is not enough. It must be sharpened, forged, tested in the fires of effort and resistance. Mediocrity feeds on those who let their talents wither, who allow potential to rot in the shadows of inaction. Talent is a weapon, but it must be wielded with precision, guided by vision and strengthened by discipline. To let it lie dormant is to invite mediocrity to take its place. Genius is not born. It is recognized, nurtured, and unleashed. It is not the antithesis of mediocrity, but the light that exposes its frailty. Mediocrity cannot comprehend genius because it fears what it cannot control. Talent, however, feels its pull, its challenge. Genius does not wait for acknowledgement, it demands it, forcing talent to rise or fade. To be talented is to be conscious of your power. It requires a deliberate choice to step beyond the safety of mediocrity, to walk paths filled with uncertainty and risk. Talent is the promise, but action is the fulfillment. The talented are not idle dreamers, they are relentless builders, carving their mark into the world. Mediocrity despises talent because talent is a reminder of what it could never achieve. It seeks to pull it down, to bury it under conformity and doubt. Talent must resist, not with arrogance, but with purpose. The truly talented know that their worth is measured not by recognition, but by creation, by the impact they leave behind. Genius and mediocrity cannot coexist. Where mediocrity seeks comfort, genius seeks challenge. Where mediocrity demands rest, genius demands growth. Talent is the bridge between the two, the spark that ignites the transformation from potential to power. Those who embrace their talent fear mediocrity not because it is strong, but because it is insidious. To recognize genius is to acknowledge your own potential. The talented do not envy genius. They are inspired by it, propelled to greater heights by its presence. Mediocrity shrinks in the face of greatness, but talent rises to meet it. Genius is not a rival. It is a mirror, reflecting what is possible if talent is fully realized. The conscious effort to be talented is a battle against mediocrity. It is a fight to see beyond the ordinary, to reject the ease of acceptance, and pursue the difficulty of excellence. Talent is not passive. It is aggressive, ambitious, and unrelenting. Those who possess it must wield it with intention, or risk losing it to the pull of the mediocre. Mediocrity knows nothing higher than itself, but talent strives for what lies beyond. It does not settle, does not falter. The talented understand that every choice, every action is a step toward greatness or a retreat into obscurity. Talent is not a guarantee of success, but it is the foundation upon which success is built. Growth is not a gift. It is a burden, a torment, a sacrifice of the comfortable and the predictable. Excellence demands that you step beyond the borders of safety, that you leave behind the warmth of mediocrity's embrace and face the cold, relentless winds of challenge. To pursue excellence is to bleed for it, to let go of what was, and to suffer in the fire of what could be. Safety is the prison of mediocrity. It keeps you sheltered, stagnant, immobile. But growth shatters that shelter, exposing you to the chaos of the unknown. It is not a gentle process. It strips away illusions, peels back the layers of complacency, and forces you to confront the raw, unvarnished version of yourself. To grow is to be unmade, so that you can be remade stronger. Excellence laughs at the timid. It scoffs at those who cling to comfort, who refuse to step into the abyss of uncertainty. Growth is a predator, hunting the weak, the hesitant, the unprepared. It rewards only the daring, those who dare to be vulnerable, who embrace the pain of transformation. Mediocrity survives by avoiding growth. Excellence thrives by devouring it. The process of growth is not linear. It is chaotic, unpredictable, and unforgiving. It drags you down before it lifts you up, breaks you before it builds you. Comfort is a luxury you cannot afford. Safety is an illusion you must abandon. Growth is the price of excellence, and it is paid in discomfort, failure, and relentless effort. To grow is to evolve, to leave behind the person you were and become the person you are meant to be. Mediocrity clings to the past, to the safety of the known. Excellence demands that you destroy it, that you break free from the shell of who you were and step into the vast, terrifying unknown of who you could become. Every step toward excellence is a step away from comfort. It is a rejection of safety, a refusal to settle. Growth demands courage not just in the face of failure, but in the face of success. To grow is to challenge every limit, to question every boundary, to push beyond what you thought was possible. Comfort is a chain, and growth is the key to breaking it. Excellence does not seek the static. It thrives on movement, on progress, on the endless pursuit of something greater. Mediocrity stagnates, festers, decays. Growth is the antidote, the force that propels you forward, that keeps you alive. To grow is to live. To stop growing is to die. Mediocrity chooses death. Excellence chooses life. Growth is not a destination. It is a journey without end, a process that never stops. It is a commitment to becoming, to evolving, to rising above the ordinary. Mediocrity fears this process because it is safe, static, unchanging. Excellence embraces it, knowing that growth is the only way to transcend the ordinary and achieve the extraordinary. The pursuit of excellence is a war against mediocrity. It is a battle fought in the trenches of discomfort, on the front lines of failure, in the shadows of doubt. Growth is the weapon, the shield, the armor. It is the process by which you overcome mediocrity and rise to greatness. Safety is not an option. Growth is the only way forward. Mediocrity offers comfort, but growth offers meaning. Excellence is not given. It is earned, and the price is the destruction of safety, the abandonment of comfort, the embrace of the unknown. Education is a double-edged sword. In the right hands, it is a tool to carve brilliance out of chaos, to shape raw potential into mastery. In the wrong hands, it is a gilded cage, trapping the mind in the illusion of competence, while ignorance festers beneath the surface. Contempt for education is a grave misstep, but blind faith in the system is equally disastrous. Both paths lead to mediocrity, albeit by different routes. Some sneer at education, dismissing it as irrelevant or indulgent. They choose the darkness of ignorance over the light of learning, convinced that knowledge is a burden rather than a weapon. This disdain for education is not strength, it is fear. Fear of challenge, fear of effort, fear of confronting the vastness of what they do not know. To shun education is to surrender to mediocrity without even engaging in battle. On the other side lies the tragedy of arrogance. Those who wear their degrees like armor, mistaking the approval of an institution for the mastery of life. They march through the corridors of academia, amassing certificates and accolades, yet remaining blind to the vast chasm between knowledge and understanding. Education without wisdom is a hollow achievement, a shallow facade masking the mediocrity within. True education is not found in contempt nor in arrogance. It is a battlefield where ignorance is the enemy and curiosity is the weapon. To learn is to fight, to struggle, to grapple with the unknown until it yields its secrets. The educated mind is not one that has arrived at all the answers, but one that is relentless in its pursuit of them. To embrace education is to embrace discomfort, for learning is a process of unmaking and remaking. It challenges your assumptions, dismantles your illusions, forces you to confront the vastness of your ignorance. The contemptuous reject this discomfort. Arrogant misunderstand it. Both are prisoners of their own mediocrity. Education in its purest form is rebellion. It is the refusal to accept the limitations imposed by ignorance and the courage to seek out knowledge, no matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient. To learn is to rise above, to step out of the shadow of mediocrity and into the light of possibility. The pursuit of education must be deliberate, intentional, relentless. It is not a passive process, nor is it one that ends with a diploma. It is a lifelong battle against ignorance, a commitment to growth, a refusal to stagnate. To stop learning is to surrender to mediocrity. To keep learning is to defy it. Both contempt and arrogance are born of fear. Fear of inadequacy, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. True education requires courage, the willingness to confront these fears and to rise above them. It is not for the faint of heart, nor for the complacent. It is for those who dare to demand more from themselves and from the world. To educate yourself is to arm yourself, to prepare for the battles of life with knowledge, skill, and insight. It is the foundation of all greatness, the key to breaking free from the chains of mediocrity. But it must be pursued with humility, with discipline, with an unrelenting desire to grow. Let the world settle for mediocrity. Let it breathe in the stale air of small ambitions and diminished dreams. But you were not crafted for such shallow waters. Let them argue over the trivial, squabble over the inconsequential, and let their hands tremble with the weight of their own fragile existence. That is not your path. You were forged for more, for heights that most cannot even fathom, let alone dare to climb. Let them play their games, holding grudges like children with broken toys. Every ounce of their energy wasted on fleeting moments, chasing shadows that dissolve before their grasp. While they bicker and quarrel, you sharpen your mind, your focus, your will. A predator does not waste time in the fields of the ordinary. It hunts in the forests of the extraordinary, where the prey is worthy and the risk defines the reward. Let them shed their tears over words spoken in haste, over wounds too shallow to scar. Tears are for those who lack the discipline to channel their pain into power. Do not mourn the fleeting. Embrace the agony, wear it like armor, and let it harden you. Pain is a gift for those who know how to wield it, a crucible for greatness. Let them leave their futures in the hands of the indifferent, their destinies written by the whims of others, their lives defined by the limitations of someone else's vision. That is their choice, their folly, but not you. Your destiny is yours to carve, yours to claim. It belongs to no one else. The chains of dependency have no place here. Cut them, burn them, walk free. Let them seek comfort in the safety of the familiar, the predictable. Let them rot in the prison of their own making. The greatest among us reject safety, for it is a thief. It steals ambition, guts potential, and leaves a hollow shell in you. Greatness is not a simple thing confined to one extreme, nor is it found lingering in mediocrity. It is the mastery of contradiction, the ability to hold two opposing forces and wield them both with precision. To rise above, one must not cling to the edges of comfort or the safety of absolutes. One must stretch wide, consuming the entire spectrum, and fill the void in between with purpose, with action, with undeniable presence. Extremes by themselves are a hollow boast. Strength without compassion is brute force. Intelligence without wisdom is reckless arrogance. A life lived at one extreme is incomplete, lacking the depth that only balance can create. To thrive, one must traverse the expanse between power and restraint, ambition and humility, chaos and order. This journey is not for the faint-hearted, for it demands the courage to confront one's own limitations. Consider this. Darkness has its strength, but it cannot exist without light. The interplay between them is where transformation takes place. Leaning too far into one obliterates the other. Greatness emerges in the space where these forces collide, where their tension forges something unbreakable. To stay on one side is to deny the fullness of who you could become. It is to remain half-formed, forever incomplete. Mediocrity festers in the shadows of extremes, waiting for the bold to falter, to step back into the monotony of the middle ground. But the middle is not where you should dwell. It is where you conquer. You take it, claim it, fill it with your vision. Stretch wide enough to encompass it all. Strengthen the gap with your will. Make the in-between your battlefield and your masterpiece. Balance is not the absence of extremes, but the mastery of them. To balance ambition with discipline, desire with patience, force with finesse, is to reach heights that others cannot fathom. Balance is not weakness. It is the pinnacle of strength. The world respects power, but it bows to those who know how to wield it with precision. Mediocrity relies on extremes remaining untamed. It thrives on chaos, on the inability to reconcile contradictions. Do not give it that luxury. Tame the chaos, harness the light and the dark, and make them your tools. Learn when to strike and when to wait, when to build and when to destroy. The art of greatness is found not in the extremes, but in commanding the entire field of play. Imagine a bowstring, taut and ready. Pulled too far in one direction, it snaps. Left loose, it is useless. But when stretched to its limit and held steady, it becomes a weapon capable of precision and power. That is the essence of greatness. To stretch yourself to the edges and hold that tension without breaking. To strike when the time is right and to hold when patience is required. Do not seek refuge in the safety of one extreme or the other. The timid cling to absolutes because they fear the unknown. But the unknown is where creation happens, where the extraordinary is born. The timid will never know what lies in the space between, and so their lives remain small, their impact faint. To fill the intermediate space is to rise above the mediocrity that binds others. To own it, to dominate it, to transform it into something uniquely yours. That is where the game is won, where potential becomes reality. Balance is not just a state, it is a weapon. Wield it, master it. The in-between is where your ambition is tested, where comfort dissolves, and where true power is born. To navigate this space, you must be willing to endure uncertainty, to dance with the unknown, and to confront your fears head-on. This is where you learn not only who you are, but who you are capable of becoming. Weakness fades in the face of such resolve. Every hesitation, every doubt is burned away in the crucible of striving for balance. Mediocrity whispers lies of safety and satisfaction, urging you to stay small, to settle. But satisfaction without growth is a shallow grave. To embrace balance is to reject the chains of complacency. It is to command your own destiny, to refuse the scripts handed to you by others. To master the art of balance is to take ownership of your life in a way that few dare to do. It is rebellion against stagnation and a declaration of ambition. Every day you linger in mediocrity, the space between extremes grows wider, harder to cross. But every step into that space, every inch you claim, makes you stronger, more complete. It is not enough to stand on one side and call yourself great. To truly embody greatness, you must master the tension, hold the balance, and dominate the spectrum. This is where mediocrity crumbles and ambition rises. Be inspired by the fear of mediocrity, for it is that fear which reminds you that to settle is to die unfulfilled. To rise is to conquer. To stretch wide is to own it all.